Hey guys, here we are, hole number 8. And not really sure what I want to do here. I am not really sure. Let's see. I guess we'll try. Oh, I think I hit my other one from the rough, which I was saying is something you can really quite easily do. So it's not really a big problem that you're in the rough, but it's also not ideal. So you can see with where I'm trying to keep it short here, kind of towards the front of this bunker. And then I'm thinking somewhere along the lines of 6 rings in this case, and then full curl. And I'm trying to kind of keep off some of the topspin as well. What I'm hoping that does is it makes it able to kind of stay away from that left rough, and maybe just a little bit more topspin would have been ideal there because it did just clip the rough. And if I can avoid clipping that rough, it's going to be a bit longer. And the longer you get this down there, the better. Because if you can get this to kind of mid club at hornet distance, it's a lot easier to play than it is towards the max club, because of wind effect and more ring adjustment. Anytime that you move more rings, you're creating more chance to miss. So it's always better to have an adjustment where it's in the air longer, in the air shorter, less wind effect, and also less rings on the adjustment. Makes it easier to hole out. So anytime I can get up to min club or mid club, it's much more holeable than max club. So there you can see relatively perfect drive. So if you can get it up there, very good. We're going to be a little bit farther. And in fact, we are so far that we're to B52. But I'm actually not going to sweat being at B52. Because one of the beauties of this is now the wind, this is where the wind effect is actually less. So it is a little bit easier to play this club at min B52 than it would be max hornet. So I'm thinking, close to the min line, I'm thinking maybe 1.1 per ring. So I'm thinking 7 rings here. So seven rings for 7.9. A great ball. It's going to block it off to the left, unfortunately. I really would have liked to have seen where perfect ball went, but I did release just a little bit, just a hair early, unfortunately. Now keep in mind, you can still topspin this with a thorn. I wouldn't do it the way that the opponent is doing it here. I always try to get a little bit more aggressive towards the top, and so I can reduce the amount of topspin. You can see they're using their max topspin. Not a good strategy. You should try to reduce that amount because it kind of makes it roll out more true when you don't have to worry about it running out too much with the over excessive topspin. So I try to land just a touch more top towards the top of the rough and then minimize the amount that I have to topspin it. It's a much easier way to make it, but it's going to come down to perfect ball and also good shot execution. One of the things I see guys do it time and time again, they never, if you don't test, if you're at min club or max club or 3/4 club, you really need to go different rings at every different yardage. So if you're not testing your land zone whatsoever, you're really putting yourself at a disadvantage because you don't know how many rings to go. You're basically just guessing at that point. If you don't know how far you are from the hole and you have no reference of that, some guys are using their drives, but that's not a very precise way of doing it. It's much better to use, for example, when you put on power balls, seeing the difference of where your max line is, for example. So if you find a reference point there and you say, okay, well, the max club right here is going through 6 green grids past the hole, for example. or wherever it is. And let's just say that's where the red line is. Well, you can use that to your advantage for all future attempts that you get around that spot. Let's say, you're 1 yard less next time on your drive, like where that same red line was, and you're like, okay, well, now it's only 5. Well, that means that, I'm closer to the hole, which means that there's going to be less, or I'm farther from the hole because the max line is coming in. So since the max line is coming in, that means if the ball is going to be in air longer, whatever I went on that ring adjustment is no longer valid. I need to go at least, an extra 1/10 or 2 to make up for that extra yard in the air. So those are the things that you want to be considering when you're figuring out and replicating from attempt to attempt. And that's how you're going to be able to kind of maximize the amount that you can hole out. So keep all that in mind. Good luck, and I'll see you guys on the next one.